Hare Krishna, welcome to my Radha Madhav channel. This is Sindhu here. Today I've come up with a beautiful topic of discussion: how to overcome fear from the Bhagavad Gita. We start with a small introduction and prayer. Nama Om Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nahamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarini. Hare Krishna. Fear, just a tiny four-letter word, enough to change from the confidence to apprehensions, fears, making us vulnerable and helpless. And we find comfort and solace in those 700 beautiful verses of the Bhagavad Gita spoken by Lord Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna's commanding yet loving words teaches us to let go and breathe a little more freely and serve a gentle reminder that life in fact is a beautiful experience meant to be lived, not feared. Of course, fear is an obvious natural instinct. We would not be humans without that fear. It is inborn because we humans, we care. We care about our families and their well-being, and we care about our works and its results. And the Bhagavad Gita continuously stresses that fears are just a material illusion. Our real focus should be on fulfilling our duties during our limited time on this planet. Do not abandon your duty because of material fears, Krishna says. Lord instructs to Arjuna. And we will see that in detail in the coming verses. So, reading Bhagavad Gita again and again and soaking in its wisdom until it is deeply ingrained has been a beautiful personal journey. Many spiritual leaders like Vivekananda, Mahatma Gandhi ji, many celebrities also have been in love with this Bhagavad Gita for years. So this Janmashtami week, I wish you all a glorious praise for Lord Sri Krishna and hope you all open yourself to the Bhagavad Gita to experience its remarkable beauty. Now, let's see the topic, the best way to get rid of fear from the Gita. Fear is an emotion in us which is completely material and always in context with losing something we cling to. So we have basically three stages. First, we hanker over that thing or object, then we lose that object and we lament it because of this material attachment to that, which sometimes creates happiness for us and sometimes creates sadness for us, like the sea waves, high and low tides, right? Due to different circumstances in life, it works. If it works according to the way we wish, we are happy. Else, we are sad and frustrated and disappointed. Govinda Das has written a very beautiful, So, what we do to overcome this fear, we have to take shelter of none other than Lord Sri Krishna and worship him. And there's a beautiful song on this, how to overcome it. Let me share with you all the song and the meaning by Govinda Das. Bajo re man Shri Nanda Nandan Abhaya Charana Ravindare Durlabha Manav Janama Satsange Taro hai ye bhave sindure. I repeat. Bajo re man Shri Nanda Nandan Abhaya Charana Ravindare Durlabha Manav Janama Satsange Taro ye bhave sindure. The meaning is, O mind, just worship the lotus feet of the son of Nanda, which makes one fearless. Having obtained this rare human birth, cross over the ocean of worldly existence through the association of saintly persons. So it basically says, oh dear mind, take shelter of Krishna and worship him. We become fearless, and also by hearing the glories of the Supreme Lord, these things are destroyed. How, like what happens? These things like illusion, hankering, moha. By fear is bhaya, moha illusion, hankering and lamentation. We are afraid of so many things. All these, when we take shelter, our perspective changes, and also by hearing the glories, we become free from this fear. Example of the beautiful example and given here is of Prahlad Maharaj, who was 5 years old, who had a demoniac father, Hiranyakashipu. He hated him, and most of you all must be knowing his story. Attempted to even kill him, throw him from the top of the cliff, pushed him into the room with snakes, given poisons, tortured mentally, physically, emotionally. But what was his response? Was he afraid? Was he lamenting? Was he hankering? Was he illusion? No. Even when there were thousands and hundreds and thousands of reasons for him to get agitated, frightened, he took shelter of Krishna, no fear. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He took complete 1 point shelter of Sri Krishna. When we depend on ourselves, we put ourselves in the center, we take it deeply into the heart, and what happens? We fear. But when we leave it to Krishna's hands, and he protects and he takes care. And the second beautiful example is Pandavas. Every reason to fear, hanker, suffer, what and all they didn't face. They had faced, but they were fully fearless. Bhima was also fully, tortured. He was poisoned. The house was set on fire. Draupadi, the example you all must be knowing. She was distraught, and they were sent to the forest for almost 12 years. And the mothers, the suffering, the karna before marriage, that everything we know. But after taking shelter of Krishna, even so many reasons to frighten us, we leave behind our false ego and surrender to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And then they succeeded. Nothing to fear. So let's see the beautiful verses more deeply to understand how to come out of it with Lord Shri Krishna's words. In chapter 2, verse 56, it says, Dukkeshu anuvigna manaha Sukkeshu Vikataspiraha Vitaraga Bayakrodaha Stitadir Munir Uchyate. What is the meaning? Krishna says, one who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. And in the next chapter 4, verse 10, Krishna says, Vitaraga Bayakroda Manmaya Mam Upashritaha Bahavo Jnana Tapasa Puta Mad Bhavam Agataha. Meaning, being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me, says Krishna. And in the next third verse, 16th chapter, first verse, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Abhayam Sattva Samsiddhirjnana Yoga Vyavastitah Dhanam Dhamascha Yajnascha Swadhyayastapa Arjavam. Fearlessness. Krishna says here, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, free from fear, study of the Vedas, freedom from anger, simplicity, compassion for all living entities, cleanliness, gentleness, forgiveness, freedom from envy, all these transcendental qualities, O son of Bharat, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. Hari Bol. The last verse for today, chapter 18, verse 66, is a very famous. We all have seen this verse several times. Sarva dharman parityagya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchah. So abandon all the varieties of religion, surrender to me, I shall deliver you from all these sinful reactions. Do not fear. That is the promise Krishna has given to Arjuna and to all of us. Right? So we saw these verses also. Now let's move on to we are subject to so many fears. So Bhagavad Gita, what it does, it teaches us that you not only to achieve liberation but also to deal with these fears and these anxieties and these emotions. So fear is the most dominant emotion of our minds, which manifest in our lives in so many ways. For example, as a child, I still remember I used to very fear going to the dark bathroom alone. That was my greatest fear. Each one will be having different kinds of fears. We are afraid of so many things like cockroaches, lizards, bats, and also fear of failure in anything, fear of rejection, fear of loss, fear of some common fears we experience, which prevents us from venturing out of a comfort zones and taking risk. Because of fear, many people settle for the less. Their dreams remain dreams as they sabotage their own success by indulging in self-destructive actions. Fear is also a major emotion we deal with when we start something, like you want to start a new project or a new business or new work, anything it may be. And we are all overwhelmed with doubts and questions about our abilities and the results of our actions and decisions. So the Bhagavad Gita goes to the root of this problem and tries to address it on a lasting basis. It gives you a formula by which you can live without fear and experience peace and bliss and equanimity. It warns you that you cannot withdraw your life from performing actions because of your fears. Withdrawal and inaction are not the right solutions to the problem of fear, nor living in constant fear and anxiety. The right approach is to transcend the fear of failure and desire to succeed by focusing on the task and doing and giving our best. It is also said it's much better when you do it for the sake of someone you love most or in some cause which you believe strongly. Selfishness is responsible for most of our drawbacks, for our ills, including fear. When you live for someone you love or for a great cause, your fear goes away, as you will not be concerned more about your personal success or personal interest. Example, think of a mother who prepares food for her child. She does it with lot of love and care, and in doing so she is not worried about herself more. She does not put her pride in it, like, I have done this. She worries about how people, she never worries about like what people may think about her food or about any action she does. She does it because, why? She does it because of pure love. Similarly, she may go hungry also, but she will try her best to keep a child fed always. Think of people who can sacrifice their lives for the sake of country's freedom or for the welfare of its people. People who spend their lives for noble causes. In doing it, they set aside their personal cares and concerns. So they do it out of love only. Therefore, if you want to overcome fear and anxiety, choose a cause or someone you love most in your life and do it for the sake of that person or the cause as a sacrificial offering. That person may be a friend, your spouse, your children, your country, or anyone you most care for. And most important thing to be noted, that you never get attached or to the outcome or to that person or to the object, or however strongly you love that. And not to have any expectations and desires, as expectation and desires, my dear friends and devotees, can itself lead to the pain, suffering and eventually unhappiness. For this very reason, Bhagavad Gita suggests detachment and renunciation in performing all our works. So when we love God and there are no betrayals or disappointments ever, for this reason, especially pure devotees, true devotees, you take this problem never arise at all for them, because their favorite and the most eternal lover, or they love most, is always the Supreme Lord. So that's it I have to talk about fear, my dear friends and devotees. I would like to conclude my today's topic by saying the first step to do is knowledge. Knowledge is power. When you know that a part of you is always fearless, you will have the courage to overcome anything in life. If you believe that there is a switch in which you can be turned on, then you are really victorious. Krishna says everything else is trivial. So start being fearless. You can be fearless even during normal times. This will help you train your mind. You can do this by repeating some lines. These lines: hit the weapons cannot cut, fire cannot burn, water cannot wet, wind cannot dry. The self cannot be cut, dried, burnt or wetted. Eternal, all-pervasive, stable, immovable, everlasting. So by repeating this again and again, it will help you feel more stronger and sure. So the next step, what you can do is you can visualize a calm lake. Close your eyes and see the beautiful sunlight sparkling on the surface of the water. As you do, notice those thoughts, the fearful thoughts coming to the surface, but concentrate on the calm, serene lake. So what happens then? Know your higher nature will always win. You can always turn on to the higher nature. The next step is to execute it. How? Know that fearlessness is always ready to help you. It is like a friend who you can put on to your arms around you to support you in your especially hard times. Have faith and let it be your best fearless friend. Embrace it. Hari Bol. And I would like to end my today's topic with another small paragraph on Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita does not, however, cease fear. It rather reduces it to a mere sensation not worthy of attention. It's imperative. Lord Krishna instructs Arjuna that you brush aside all your fears and act towards fulfilling your duties and as a warrior prince, tells Arjuna. I think we humans have an inborn fear because of a nature of a care. So to deal with fears, Gita wisdom urges us to become aware of the presence that wafts away that fear. Who's that presence? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Yes, Hari Bol, Hari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So by prayerful daily meditation and regular Bhagavad Gita and scripture Bhagavatam readings, we too can tune our consciousness to become aware of the divine presence of Krishna within and without, in and out. This doesn't cause problems to disappear altogether. It takes away the power of problems. Instead of being agitated by the problem, we become reassured by awareness of Lord Shri Krishna's presence. Hari Bol. Thus we become free to tackle any situation in life intelligently and productively. Thus, even when living in a fearful world with a fear prone, we can live fearlessly. Thank you. Hope I enjoyed as much as I hope you also had enjoyed my talk today. And it was a great learning to you. Catch you all with another beautiful Krishna Katha and story. Until then, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you once again.